I don't. Why is it acting like this? We at least though we live. We rolling.
Is it
We
raining?
live. We live.
I've been live.
You been live?
Yeah, I don't need YouTube or Facebook tell me I'm live. Yanga Sport Culture
Oh,
is
that's.
King Yanga. Is it raining where you at?
Is it raining? There's pouring. There's thunder, lightning. It's storming right now. It's bad. It's
Have
kind of
fun.
scary.
Have fun.
I know. I don't have no food in the house, but I do have water. You told me about that too. You're like, woo! You ain't been out there when it starts to do that hurricane season.
You ain't want to listen though.
It's not that time though. It's not that time yet.
You don't know that the weather is unpredictable.
It is very unpredictable nowadays. So that's what I want to talk about though. I want to talk about our topic today, and it's about like the propaganda, the scare tactics that the USA uses when they talk about Mexico. Do you think that's a thing?
I don't believe it's a thing. I just believe that we give the government and the media ammunition, to use against us. So they only doing what, you know, we allow them to do. At the same time, the media, all these people that are whoever is, putting this thing together to where they don't want people to. It's always an infiltration. It's always something from it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't keep looking outward at people and what they trying to do when it comes to us. We got to look at us when it comes to us. I feel like it's only a scare tactic if you already scared. If you're already fearful about traveling, if you're already fearful about flying on a plane, if you're already fearful about being in a third world country, then it's easy to watch TV and get scared because you're already scared.
Right. I asked a question on Facebook about what scares you the most about Mexico, and the top answers. I'm gonna read the top answers, okay? And these are just people from the United States. So they said the cartel, sex
That was number
trafficking.
one. That was number one.
Yeah, everybody talks about that. The cartel, and this is just for Mexico, y'all. Sex trafficking, being stabbed, pickpocketing, robbed. The police with the big guns are intimidating to them. They say. I hear that a lot. I hear that one a lot. The language barrier, being kidnapped, which is I guess the same as sex trafficking. I don't know. No, it's not the same, but and then just being killed in general.
All of that shit happens in the States. And I think it happens at a faster rate in America than it does in Mexico. The intentions are more sinister. I feel like if something happens to you in a different country that you're not from, you had something to do with it more than half the time. I'm not saying there are random instances where people are just at the wrong place at the wrong time, but you got to be almost asking for, you know what I'm saying, that type of drama, or be already into that type of lifestyle. And it's just the energy, the law of attraction. So
it is.
You could be a bad person in America and be stealing, finessing, and doing all of that up here, and then take a trip to a third world country and everything come back to you. That's just how the universe works. I feel like if people looked inside themselves, you know what I'm saying, you would already know that traveling isn't for you. you already know these things, but because people don't know themselves, they don't know what is outside of themselves either, even less. But all of the things that you named, Like that's what we glorify in America. We glorify that in our music. We glorify it in everyday life. So for me, my like how I do my math, being from Chicago and knowing what street life is like and what it look, smell like, taste like, and all of that, it's like if that's what you do, then what does it matter that the cartel and the police got big guns? If that's what your life is like, but half of the people that glorify that stuff don't live like that, so they will be scared when it's for real. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Like a lot of
You won't
internet
be,
thugging and people who just,
yeah.
glorify it out of it, but not really in it.
You ain't in it, and it shows. You feel me? Like the people, the I want to say because I don't want to call them black, but for people to understand who and what I'm talking about, the people that went to Matamoros, if they knew that Mata means to kill and Moro means Moreno or brown skin, then you would know that that city that is named Kill Brown People is not a place to go. It's not a tourist spot. But they didn't know that. They wasn't aware, of their surroundings, and they was just doing, for clout. People do stuff for
Right.
clout, throw rocks, hide their hands, and then
Right.
when it hit the fan, like your real spirit shows. The real you is responding, and a lot of people
Right.
they just scared. They just scared of the unknown. You know what I'm saying? Even in
No,
America, they
definitely.
talk. Yeah, they talk all that stuff on the internet, and then run into somebody in the street, and then they friendly. So Mexico don't work like that. You say something, you got to stand on it. You do something, you gotta pay the fee.
Right. No, definitely. And that's why I want to give voice to the street to explain to people like what's it really like in Mexico. And so what I wanted to do is list off the travel advisor, the different states that they tell us not to travel to. Okay, I'm gonna
Right.
list like the most dangerous states, and then we're gonna talk about what we know, how what the culture is there, like our viewpoint as to what it's like in these places. You know what I mean? I mean, we can only talk from our point of view, but I think it'll give people a more, because all I do is hear Mexico, not knowing how big Mexico is.
No, all they do is listen to the media about Mexico, because Mexico not talking about Mexico. They not broadcasting they business. They're not putting their stuff on TV. That's America putting stuff that they feel is necessary to keep their money in America. Mexico not tripping off whoever. So what? You know what I'm saying? We got cows and chicken everywhere, and we plant seed, and so what? They don't really care that people know that about them.
Right,
It's the
right.
it's the
Okay,
American it's the American culture.
okay. There's 32 states in total in Mexico, right?
Mhm.
You've been to
All
probably
of them,
all of them. You've
all
been
of
to all
them,
the 32 states. Okay, so
every single one.
I'm gonna read off the do not travel states. I'm gonna read the list off first, and then whatever state rings the bell and you have a story about it, let's like dig into it, okay?
Right.
Because some of these states I don't remember going to, but I probably went to. All right, then you froze up a little bit. Are you there? You still there?
I think we both did, but I'm still here.
Okay. All right. Okay. So and these states are do not travel because of crime and kidnapping, which is some of the biggest fears that the people said they had of Mexico. All right. So there's Colima, there's
I've
Guerrero,
been there. I've been there.
Michoacan,
I
Sinaloa,
used to live there. Yes.
Tamaulipas,
Tamaulipas. Tamaulipas.
Tamaulipas. Ooh, that's a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zacatecas.
Zacatecas. I lived there too.
Break it down though.
So
Okay, so would you say some of those places do belong on that list? Don't go there at all. Just don't go.
For sure, for sure, for sure. Only because if you green, if you not from the street, you got to have a real reason to go to those places. You know what I'm saying? You got to have some family there. You got to have some relative may have passed away or something. Some you got to, because they're going to ask you, are you doing here? In every state, not just the cartel states. Every state going to be like, yo, what you doing here? You know what I'm saying? So you got to have a reason, a real good reason too. Colima is, go ahead.
That made me think too, like outside of Cancun where we stay, I noticed that in certain states, you're gonna get pulled over for your documentation. That doesn't happen here in like the tourist areas. So I just wanted to say that.
Nah, they ain't tripping. Yeah, they're not tripping.
Yeah,
Because
right.
because Americans are supposed to be there. We need y'all here so you can spend your money with us. Boom.
Yeah,
In a, in
probably
a, in a, in
Cabo,
a foreign,
huh?
all the tourist
Yeah,
places, they're not gonna.
Cabo, Puerto Vallarta, Quintana Roo, which is Cancun, and let's say the border towns, especially Tijuana. I don't really, we never that really never happened to us there.
I mean, because when you get off the airplane, they ask you for it. So if you don't have it when you get off the airplane, then I
Right, but
mean, they just put you
we
back
didn't
on.
walk across the border as well too. But okay, so let's go back to that. So
I mean, when you know,
you've
you
been to
know.
those.
I have a friend who lives in Colima. He's from Memphis. Colima is a very beautiful place. It's hot. You know, beachfronts is it's the city and state. So the city is named Colima. The state is named Colima as well. I've been to neighboring cities around Colima. And I like Colima. Colima is you keep your nose clean, you good. You feel me? But it is dangerous in Colima. Colima will it's one of those it's a real it got a lot of indigenous, I mean to it. A lot of people, a lot of actual the natives in certain areas in places like Colima, Oaxaca, they don't even speak Spanish. They speak something else. They speak another
Right.
dialect. So but for the most part, if you want to spend a weekend in Colima, Colima is dope. You just, do what you got to do as a tourist, and you can make it out of there. But it's close to Guadalajara. Tamaulipas, I wouldn't recommend you go there at all unless you know what you're gonna do when you get there.
Right.
It's they're very territorial. In
Right.
Tamaulipas, San Luis Potosi, that whole area is like they know who's from there, they know who's not. I lived in Michoacan for 6 years. It's crazy because I was sitting in the living room one time in La Piedad, and La Piedad is probably the fourth most dangerous place in Michoacan. But it's
Right.
like it's in the middle of the interstate. So when you and Zacatecas is too. So when you coming from North Tijuana and you're traveling to the south of Mexico, you have to pass Zacatecas and you have to pass La Piedad. So it's like it's one of those zones where you got to be careful. I was sitting in the living room and I'm watching the news, and a motorcyclist decides to um, drive his motorcycle, which had military paint on it. He had a motorcycle look like it had the camouflage paint all over it. He decided to drive his motorcycle through Mexico from New York, and I'm watching them like, why they talking about this? Long story short, he made it all the way to Michoacan, and when he got to Michoacan, he disappeared. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting on the couch in the city where he disappeared at, and I'm like, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like
For real.
this is really like his mom was on the news. Like, yo, I haven't heard from him. He left 4 days ago or 5 days ago, and that's the last we all heard of him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
So it's
it,
real. It's not like if they're fabricating, what's going on, but it's just the way that they're portraying, like there's nothing going on in the United States.
Right. That could have happened to him before he got to Mexico.
Right. It could have happened anywhere.
You know what I'm
How
saying?
about
He could have.
how about did you talk about Sinaloa?
Oh yeah, Sinaloa is another one of my favorite places. You feel me? It's very dangerous. You gotta watch your mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You gotta watch your mouth. You gotta watch your actions. You can't go down there exerting more energy and like too much. Uh, I mean, it's cool to party. You know, Mazatlan, Culiacan. Really, if you go to Sinaloa, you got to stay on the Pacific coast where most of the tourists are. I
Right.
wouldn't recommend getting lost in the jungle por los mochis, Guamuchil, Culiacan. Uh, you don't want to Navajo. You don't want to get lost in those places. That's really jungle. You know what I'm saying? So the roads are covered up. They're hidden. A lot goes on. You know what I'm saying? You
Because
get
there's a lot of back roads. It's not like
yeah.
like main strips and stuff like that. So this is where,
Mm-mm.
yeah. Um,
Yeah, you get
in
lost.
some of these states that they named that do not travel, they do actually have places that you can travel to, like Guerrero. Isn't Ixtapa in Guerrero?
It is in Guerrero, but it's on the border. So
Yeah.
so a lot
Oh,
yeah, a lot of states take advantage of that same beachfront. You know, it's just a part of Guerrero. The majority of Guerrero is like desert type land. It's mountainous, it's dry, a lot of dust, small cities, towns. It's very hot, so you don't want to just be outside. And if you are outside, we pulled up to a town to play in Iguala, Chilpancingo, Iguala. And we were in one of those little short, like sprinter vans, Combi. We had to drive for maybe 4 hours. I wake up and we go to the liquor store, and when we bouncing out, it's like teenagers, young adult men. They all got assault rifles, just chilling, just standing out. You know, I'm
they're
like,
not
bro, this
they're not officers?
no. I don't know who they were. Like we just got there, and when we pulled up at, we like my door, the window. You know, you slide those combi doors, you slide them. But when he slid my door open, it was two teenage boys sitting there with assault rifles, and I'm like, bro, what y'all want from this store? Why we stop right here? Where the cancha, where la cancha, basketball,
Okay.
where that's at?
So I see the difference in the mentality from border states or tourist states compared to like places that are the heart of Mexico. So because stuff
Right,
like what you're naming that they tell you not to travel to, you're gonna encounter where people kind of govern themselves because each
they have
state,
to.
yeah, each state is governed by themselves. It's not like, there's one rule for the entire country, right?
Right. Each state is very distinct. Like you can't
Yeah.
say I went to Mexico and it's all the same. Or a lot of people who have traveled before, if you travel to 2 or 3 places in Mexico, you want to continue to know more because every place that you've been is very different from the last one. So um
Right. And
with me and me go ahead.
with you, what?
With me traveling, that's how it was for me. Like a lot of people, like I've been to Cancun already, and I feel them because once you go and you get what you get, you kind of want to go somewhere else to see, And the more that you do that in Mexico, the more you see everything is different.
It's
Pueblo,
a
Oaxaca,
whole totally different vibe.
yeah.
Maybe because when you first came, you really didn't hear too much about Mexico. So you were
No,
kind of
I was oblivious. I think I went to Mexico fully focused on my goal. I wasn't worried about no mafia. I wasn't worried about. I just wanted to hoop good enough to get paid some money so I could live off of my talents, and that's all I really was focused on the first few years. And when I reached that goal and I got comfortable, then I started to see different things that were around me. I mean,
right. But the thing
I
is,
wasn't.
even though you've been to all these do not travel states, right? As a man of color, a black man, did you fear for your life? Like I'm talking about from authority, the people in authority. Did you feel for your life and the people in authority like you did from the United States?
No, that's a easy no.
See, we talked about that.
I I I feel more comfortable as a black man in Mexico. I feel more love. I feel more uh uh
Respected.
like, yeah, just everything, everything.
Right.
They want to embrace me. They want me to be a part of like you with us type deal. It
Right.
wasn't
Right. Right.
you one of them. You a
Right.
N word or you a black. I mean, some people do that, but then the same ones who do that be just as dark as me or you
Right.
got nappy hair just like me. I'm like, bro, you tripping.
And
You know what I
it's
mean?
curiosity, a lot of curiosity too, you know. And
Yeah.
this is what they don't teach us in the United States. That they make us think that we hate each other in the same way they do other countries like Africa and wherever else we go. That if you go here, you know this is what's going to happen to you, and they just feed us this fear. And what we're noticing, I'm gonna name some more states. I'm gonna go to the reconsider traveling states, okay? And let's
Did we
answer.
finish did we finish the Sinaloa? What else did you say?
We did Colima, Guerrero, Michoacan, Sinaloa, Tamaulipas, and Zacatecas.
Yeah, Zacatecas is one of those silent killers. You feel me? Like you, is this? I'm surprised that motorcyclists made it past Zacatecas, but you know, the deeper
Man,
you go, the more jungle it becomes.
right. But listen to these though. These are the states that they say reconsider traveling. And I want to talk about after I read these states, why they're telling us to reconsider traveling to these states. Like, what would be the purpose? You know what I mean?
What's the difference between reconsider and don't go?
Well, it says it right. It says due to crime and kidnapping again, the same thing, right?
Sound like
And
some American wrote that.
most likely,
You sound
I
like
gotta find out who writes those, where they get their information
yeah,
from.
An American. It
But
might be
listen
a
to this.
Mexican. It might be a Mexican American. You never know.
Right. I remember with you. Oh, quick story. Remember when we had to travel to Tijuana with your son because we were working on his citizenship? And at that time when we went to Tijuana, it was like do not travel because the cartel was beefing. Remember?
Hmm.
And they were actually having one of the world's biggest reggaeton concerts around that time too.
Yeah, it was in Rosarito.
It was in Rosarito. And when we get there, we first of all we didn't know it was do not travel. We didn't know the advisory was out because we really don't check it. You know what I mean? Which
Hmm.
I advise people to check it, but I guess we're so used to traveling in Mexico, it's just second nature for us. But when we get there and people are telling us all the stuff that's going on with the cartel, like they're blowing buses up, like they're doing all this crazy stuff.
They was really doing that though.
I know, but it's like it's so huge we didn't even feel the energy or even get caught
I
up
know.
like that. But you did get pulled over like a couple times. You got pulled over
Yeah,
a
I
couple
got
times.
pulled over because I drive to Mexico too, and I had drove a nice car to Tijuana. We drove to Ensenada, and I was with my son, and I got pulled over. I think because the tents and the fact that the car was nice, and I was in a neighborhood that wasn't, we just passed by a federale truck, and they pulled us over, and he ended up letting me go because I was registered and everything, and I had all my licenses and everything. But then he asked as we left, he was like, "You got any weed?" And he said it with a
I remember
smile,
that.
like I was gonna say, "Yeah, I got some weed. You want to see it?" Like, yeah, like they just think, I don't know what they think about Americans, but I ain't the one. And my son, when we pulled off, he was like, "Pop, why they didn't they just let you go? And then why they asked did you have some weed?" And I'm like, so
The
it's just
stereotypes. The
the
stereotypes.
stereotype. I had to explain to my son that this is what you go through. You feel me? And I also told it could have been worse. You feel me? Because your dad was prepared. It didn't happen the way that they wanted to happen. It happened the
Right.
way that I wanted it to happen.
Because you know the language and you know the culture. And that's that's one of the fears that people stated, that they don't understand is the language barrier. And when a lot of cops pull us over, because we've been pulled over, I've been with you, we've been pulled over and stopped countless times, numerous times.
Yeah, all year long we'll get stopped. All year long,
Yeah,
wherever when we traveling, somebody gonna stop us and ask us. I
right.
mean, they don't be regular questions they don't walk around asking everybody these questions neither.
Right, right. Definitely. And you got to look, people, because a lot of people say, oh, I've been in Mexico my whole life, or I've been coming for years and nothing's ever happened to me. And there's a certain energy you carry, there's a certain confidence you carry that attracts a certain type of attention. Even in the United States, it's the same way. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
So
right.
our experience is our experience. And, I think there's things, or I know there's things that happen that people are just not willing to talk about some of the times because of the fear that is pushed out about Mexico. So in order for
Right.
them to speak up, they're feeling intimidated because, oh, if I say this, I'm gonna get attacked, which you really do when you start speaking the truth about what's really going on in Mexico. And even if you speak the truth about how the USA portrays Mexico, it
Yeah.
causes a lot of controversy.
It's a team effort, though. It's a team effort because all the newspaper articles in Mexico exploit what's going on in between, the forces that be. So it's not just America doing it. It's also Mexico, but Mexico does it within their country. They don't broadcast it out to other countries. What they're doing.
Right.
They
Let me answer this question. Does you being stopped also have to do with you having a car as a foreigner? For example, are you less likely to be stopped on foot or public transportation? I want to answer that. Let me answer. For me, since I've been with him, we've ridden mostly in public transportation more than drive ourselves. And so depending on the state that we were at, so let's say, for instance, Chiapas, coming back from Chiapas or going to Chiapas, because there's a lot of Guatemalans that cross the border illegally.
Cubans, Venezuelans,
Yes,
they look like us.
they look like us. So we were stopped more often. So say we were on a bus, right? The officers would get on the bus, not say anything to anyone but us. They come straight to us like they already knew we were on the bus. So in my mind, I'm like, wherever we checked in to get our ticket at, they reported to whoever and was like, you have 4 Americans on this bus right here.
Yeah.
Like,
But they always
instantly.
do that. They do that from Chiapas until you get past Oaxaca, which is it's like maybe 4 or 5 times they're gonna stop that bus. And if you made it past the second time, which is less than likely, then you're gonna get stopped again. So they're gonna catch whoever is on that bus that don't need to be on that bus that don't have documents. They're gonna catch you because they stop it enough times to catch whoever they need to catch.
And for us being on there, if people are on there illegally, we save them when we're on the bus because they ain't worried about no one else.
After they find out we legitimate, they don't ask nobody nothing. They be like,
Yes.
shucks.
Yes. But
I be
another
like,
thing
bro,
is knowing Spanish, because I never even knew if they knew English or not, because you speak Spanish so fluently, and it made me terrified. Like, damn, if I was by myself, that language barrier, woo, it would have been
they could
wild.
do it. They could do whatever they want.
Someone said, isn't that to extort money most of the time, or is it just media bullshit? Let me go first real quick. As a woman, and like I said, it's different between a man and a woman, okay? From my perspective, being a woman has helped me not get extorted for money. Because of me being confident, though, and being with you, though. They treat you different when you're with me than when you're just by yourself.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
As,
they're not as aggressive.
right. I'm gonna just say this one last thing, then I'll let you go. As a person of color, all they want to know is where the hell you're from, and this is just our experience. We've never been asked for money. We've never been hinted that they want money. They just want to see our passport and know where we're from, and after that, they're satisfied. That's just our experience.
Yeah, our experience. Now
Yes.
I've been extorted a couple times, but I learned from those situations, and when I see the drama unfold, I'm already prepared. It won't happen again.
Where were you at
That's
though? What states were
so.
you at?
I was in Ixtapa. I used to live in Ixtapa. And one day, I indulge. Fumando. I indulge. I do my little bit of smoking and whatnot. But this particular Sunday, because it was Sunday, we decided to watch some kids because we were at a park, which was we thought was a park, but it was actually a school and a church. And me and my friend from Mississippi, it was an off day. We didn't have to practice or nothing, so we started to light up at the park on the bleachers, and we watched these kids play soccer barefooted. So we was tripping, right? We was like, yo, they kicking the ball kind of hard. For some kids to be have not had no shoes, they going in. You feel me? So we tripping, we lit like, and then the kids leave. They chop it up with us and all of that. I got it on video too, but they leave and then we chilling. We the blunt almost out, and somebody in some military pants, but he looked like a regular person. He walked past us, and he had one of them big water jugs that you go fill up and bring it back to your house. He walked past us, and then he walked back with the water jug full. And after he did that, we had just put the blunt out, and he walked back. And like 2 minutes later, if we had left, we would have been cool. But like 2 minutes later, they pulled back up with a truck. He pulled up with an old man and a young kid, like a 16-year-old boy. They all had brand new assault rifles, and they hopped out on us and was like, "We gonna call the police." They had them on walkie-talkie. Again, this is one of those towns that's real small, so we govern
weed is
ourselves.
huge. Weed is a
Yeah,
huge thing.
because it's not legal in Mexico.
People need to know that too.
It's not legal.
Especially
It's not yet.
in those
Yeah, it's
smaller
not yet.
towns, right?
It's not. Yeah, it's not yet legal. So they take advantage. Like when they see that, they take advantage of opportunities to extort you. All you got to do is be out of pocket, be out of your lane, and that's when you get extorted. You drunk driving. Everybody in Mexico drink and drive. But if you get caught drunk driving, they for sure. They don't even. I don't even think they have a law for drunk drivers. There is
They
no
don't.
alcohol. They don't. But
They just ask you for money.
if you get caught as an American drinking and driving, what I mean? I'm not saying that there isn't a law, but everybody do it.
Okay. All right.
You feel me?
So,
Even the authorities.
all right. So these are the states that they say reconsider traveling to: Jalisco, Guanajuato, Baja California, Chihuahua, Durango, Morelos, and Sonora.
I mean, you
Tijuana.
get.
So, babe, Americans, there's over 1 million Americans here in Mexico now. We're the biggest group of people living inside of Mexico at this moment.
That don't shock me. That don't shock me. It's millions of Mexicans in America.
And these states that they said reconsider traveling to are where most of the Americans live. Most of them live in Jalisco because of Guadalajara, right? Puerto Vallarta is a place where a lot of Americans live. Guanajuato is home to San Miguel de Allende, and I know they said tons of retiree people live there. So how dangerous can it be if you're a retiree?
I don't think it's not that many black people in San Miguel.
No, there's a lot of retired people. I'm not saying they're black; they're just retired people. I'm saying as far as what I do want to find out, though. I'm glad you said that. I want to find out if there's over 1 million Americans here, what percentage of those people are Black or people of color? That's what
And
I
then
just want to know.
if they are Black or people of color, I guarantee you they could be something else, not American.
Right. Oh, great questions too, you guys. Thank you for the questions is raw. It says James said most Americans um live for convenience. It's not as convenient as people think it is. The thing that people are searching for is peace of mind. Most people are escaping that rat race from the United States of America, and it happened to be somewhere that is cheaper. That's from what I'm experiencing.
That's all going to change.
What do you
It's
mean by
only
that?
going it's only going to be cheaper for oh so long, and then it'll evolve. And once there is over 1 million Americans in America or in Mexico, then the price changes.
Everything
Inflation.
has been changing already.
Yeah,
You're getting your
it's not gonna be cheap for long. You got to think. I've been going to Mexico since 2007. That's almost 20 years. Another high school run, and that's 20 years of me being here watching Mexico convert into something that it's been fighting a long time. Like, they don't want to become a westernized
right.
country. They don't want to be that, but because that's how the money is flowing in, what choice do they have? Their family's been suffering for so long, and people have been in poverty for so long. All the money coming from America anyway.
Okay, let me break that down. Let me read these two comments by Tony. Okay, she said she rather leave because of her search for peace of mind, inner peace. She rather leave the U.S. for that, more so, than convenience. You know what I mean? Because it's cheaper, or you get more privilege as an American. I want to address that one day too, because that so annoys me. But then she says Mexico is upgrading, right? And they're learning from all the foreigners that are coming here. Not just Americans. We're not the only people that live here. You got Canadians, Venezuelans, Cubans, a lot of people from South America, Africans, Central America, people from Central America. There's a lot of people here that they don't, Europeans, and the thing about the Europeans and the Canadians is that they're owning land, they're owning things, and we as Americans are not taking advantage of that.
We don't take advantage of it in our own country.
But when I think about the reason why, though, is when we come here, we're so afraid to get off the resort because of the propaganda, because of the lies that are being spread, that we don't know what's actually going on in the streets. That's why we call our things the voice of the streets. And in these places that I just read to consider to re-travel, people are moving there and gaining so much opportunity. They're being exposed to so much opportunity. And we're not talking about that.
But they're not taking because they're not taking advantage of it. The only way people will start talking about it is if we start taking advantage of it. Then it's going to become an issue for somebody. Then that's when you talk about it. Not when we just there partying, because all we do is go to Mexico to party. That's not what I do, but that's all anybody does. I'm going to Mexico to party, get drunk, and then I'm gonna go home and be in my regular situation again. That's all they want to do. That's the plan.
And let me explain to everyone who just heard him say that. That is the convenience of being American, is that they see you as a partier, as someone who wants to come and F up your money. So you a meal ticket. That is the convenience and the privilege we have here as Americans, is that we're a meal ticket. They see you as money. They'll treat you as such. They'll charge you more for things that they'll charge the locals less for. And I'm not complaining. I'm just being 100 to tell you, like,
That's just how it is. And they'll
you know what I
say
mean?
that. The ones who are honest, they'll say that. They're like, bro, you in America, you from America, you got dollars.
Yeah. And the thing that they don't teach us about Mexico is that there's a lot of rich Mexicans. There's a lot of people doing well for themselves. Because anywhere you go, you're going to find poverty. But they're not showing you what part of Mexico we see, the Mexicans we cross, the people who are well educated.
The Mexicans in my circle got bread.
Yeah, they got money that help us out as well too. In the complex I live in is owned by all Mexicans. Me as an American, I'm the only one that don't own no property.
It's crazy because my son, he's been here for a year now, and he's from Michoacan. He went to school, a charter school, private school, and he's learning a lot. He's learning English fast. He's doing, taking advantage of. I'm putting him in position to take advantage of everything that there is to take advantage of, and he want to go back home. He don't want to be in America like that. He don't want to spend his childhood. Now he's not against coming back as an adult, but he don't want to be a child up here because at an early age you're not getting paid for your work, but you have to work. Everything is much harder to attain here than it is in Mexico. He made a point. The reason why I'm saying this is because he said, even though Mexico has a lot of poor people, everybody that is poor have a place to go to. They have a house. They can go to the bathroom. They can take a shower somewhere and they can eat. He's like, bruh, all the poor people in America, they walking around, you can see them. You can see how bad their situations are because they don't have a place to go to. They don't have nothing to when they get sick, how they can rest and all of that. And he pointed that out. And he's 11 years old. He's like, bro, I want to go back to Mexico because
you're not seeing homeless people in the streets rarely,
no,
unless you're in the bigger cities like Mexico City or Guadalajara or something.
Even then at nighttime when that night we went to Guadalajara and we ate at that restaurant that's open until 3 a.m. Did you see anybody walking around outside?
No.
When we walked back to the hotel from that restaurant, there was nobody but us and the police.
Unless they're baracho, they're walking around.
And guess what? It's a happy drunk. He gonna say hello to us and keep it moving.
Right. No, there's definitely a lot of benefits living in Mexico that has nothing to do with money. You know what I mean?
Sure. And the food is healthier for one, and that's the top thing for me. Like, I'm tired of eating processed food. I'm tired of I don't get sick, but when I eat something that I ain't supposed to eat, my body responds so quickly. I'm just sick of doing that to myself.
Right.
Eating is it. We take that for granted. We eat too much. We think it's a casual thing to just do when we get bored, and we take advantage of. That's why the food is processed, because there isn't enough. Like, everything in Mexico is a natural resource. It's natural, even if it's not.
Yes, it's a process. Yeah. It's like nothing's rushed. Nothing's made hella fast to go.
No, and when you do eat, like, you don't have to eat a lot. You can eat 5 little tacos and be cool for the next 3 or 4 hours.
I just had 4 tacos the other day. Oh, I feel so bad.
but I'm saying, though, even though you may have eaten some meat or something, like, it's real meat. It came from a cow that eat grass. That's it.
It's not all buffed up and full of antibiotics and hormones and stuff. I think it's coming, though. The more westernized these places get, the more they keep up with the global economy, the more they get turned into this process.
Mexico is resilient, though. Like, my son here, he don't eat ketchup, he don't eat mayonnaise, he don't eat no processed nothing. If I be like, a burrito, he be like, nope. I gotta actually make the burrito with meat, cheese, tomatoes, onions. It can't be a burrito that's wrapped with something and frozen. He won't
Right.
eat it.
I mean, there's still places here that don't have, never seen a fast food restaurant, don't have a fast food restaurant, barely has a grocery store. Like people, there's very secluded places here in Mexico that you can get totally lost in and no one will ever find
No,
you.
for sure, and a lot of those places surround the cities that you named
Surround the cities,
previous.
yes. My
Jalisco,
first, Jalisco is so beautiful. Oh my God.
Oaxaca is beautiful too. It's just
Well,
natural. It's natural land.
it's,
There's no ain't no skyscrapers. Ain't no pollution from cars. Ain't not really none of that. Just in the
you know what,
major cities.
you know what's crazy was when I was able to experience the demeanor, not just of the people, which is everyone is a more laid back people, unless it's time to party. It's like nothing you ever seen before. Can't nobody party like a Mexican. But you know what's crazy? To see the demeanors of the animals, the wild dogs and stuff like that, to see how tranquilo and calm and peaceful. Like if you see a loose dog in the States, you running.
You might get bit if you don't
You
run.
you might get bit. But because the atmosphere here, the vibrations here is so calm and people are so much more at peace, animals don't even pay you no attention. And you could be sitting at a restaurant and there'll be a stray dog that walks up and the owners ain't beating it off and it's feeding it, and then the dog goes on about his business to the next
Right,
spot.
right. And you ain't got to worry about it biting you neither. You can act like you about to pick up a rock. The dog will take off running.
He says, "You mean Josh don't eat Taco Bell?"
Look, I drove through the drive-through, right? Whoever asked that funny because I did it one time. I was like Taco Bell. He was like Taco Bell. He
He
don't
didn't
know
know what that
nothing about
was.
Taco Bell. Yeah,
Yes.
so I drove through the drive-through and he looked at the menu. He was like, "Them ain't tacos." I'm like, "Bro, how you know you ain't never tried it before?" He's like, "Bro, them is not tacos, bro." You know how tacos look to a Mexican? Like the taco shell and everything looks different from an actual taco that you get from a taco stand.
Right.
The taco
Right.
you get from a taco stand in Mexico look like a pizza with stuff on top of it. The Taco Bell, it looked like he was like, bro, I had to pull off. We pulled up and he was like, what you want? And he was like, bro, I'm not eating that. So we pulled off.
But he rates all the food in the States and he doesn't like anything.
He liked pizza and he liked In-N-Out Burger.
Oh shit. It's
And
because
when
you
he
know
go to
what?
and when he go to In-N-Out Burger, he only eats meat, cheese, lettuce, and the bun.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna talk about these next states. These next states are exercise increased caution, and one of these places is the best city or best state known for its cuisine. Okay, so let's see if y'all know what state that is. Okay, this is a long list, so let me read off all the names first, and then I want anyone who knows, if you know the answer to this question, which one of these states is known for the best cuisine in Mexico? And let me give you another clue. It's known for the best cuisine, and it's also known um, to have African indigenous roots.
All of south of Mexico.
Right. Okay, here we go. Um, oh, she already named it. Tony already named it. Yep, you're right. Okay. Okay, so it's Aguascalientes.
What did she say? What did she say? Read what she
She said
said.
Oaxaca. Oaxaca. The food in Oaxaca, I don't know if y'all ever been, but if you go to Oaxaca, that food, it, oh my God, it's the best food. Okay, let me read the list real quick. Okay, so you got
Before you read the
Aguas.
list, before you read the list, I want to give you my opinion. Like Oaxaca, they say that because they have 100 and almost 150 different type of plate like arrangements, you know, that you can choose from. But I'm gonna be real. To me, the neighboring state of Puebla is much more flavorful, much more The soil is richer. It's kind of like a Napa Valley. It rains a lot, so the agriculture is top tier. So I think the fruits and vegetables from Puebla is a little better than Oaxaca, but the way that the
The
people
spices.
prepare the food in Oaxaca is dope.
Right. Taj said he's surprised there isn't any Taco Bells in Mexico. What? Why would you think there would be
Hey,
Taco Bells
look,
in Mexico?
they don't sell anything that is Americanized that wants to portray they don't even sell Patron in Mexico. And patron is a Mexican word.
Means boss, right? Heifer,
Yes,
jefa.
patron means the boss. And they
Right.
don't sell that nowhere in Mexico. You might find it in Tijuana because they know Americans like it. And you know,
Right.
people ask for it often, but they don't market that in Mexico.
There's so many different foods that we eat in the United States that you would think they would eat in Mexico, but the whole list of foods, you have to change your whole palate moving here. You're not gonna find
they,
anything similar. Nothing is similar
they
at all.
put beans they put bean spread on your egg McMuffin. It's not good. It's not and jalapenos and bean spread on the egg McMuffin.
Tony just said something else earlier. She said energy is everywhere and it affects you whether you like it or not. You can feel the low vibrations throughout the states, no matter how high you feel when you walk out of your door. Word,
Yeah,
word, and you gotta learn how to shift that energy and not let it control you, like that atmosphere control you. And a lot of
yeah,
people don't
that's
learn that.
you got to be a style bender. You got to be an air bender. You got to work with the elements. You got to know the elements. If you don't understand the elements, then you'll never understand yourself.
Right. Okay. Increased caution states. Aguas Calientes.
That
Say
was the
something quick
first
about
place
Aguas.
I ever. That's the first place I ever been to in Mexico. Aguas Calientes, dope
You knew
place.
no Spanish, no nothing.
That's the first
Okay.
place I seen a black man speak Spanish.
And you was like a black man from the United States too, huh?
He came and got me from the airport. We went in, hopped in the car with the coach and his wife, and he started speaking Spanish. I looked right at him like, I'm gonna learn this. I'm going to learn this.
um, Taj said, "Damn, can't that be considered racism with the appropriations of Mexican food and drinks?"
What is she talking about?
Taj, that's Taj. Taj, yeah, explain that. What's appropriation? Okay, let me read off some more lists. Some more. Baja California, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Chiapas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I hate this word. Quilla,
Coahuila.
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 Uh-huh. Hidalgo,
Hidalgo.
Hidalgo.
Hidalgo. The H
I
is
love,
silent.
I love Hidalgo. I had a nice time there. One of the best experiences of my life was there.
Yeah, it's
Um,
lit. It's lit.
Mexico City. Lord, we can talk about Mexico City all day. I can talk about Mexico City all day. Um, you guys watch the video too. I just posted a couple days ago, and you'll see the incident that happened to us when we got pulled over in Mexico City. Uh, then there's Mexico
We
State.
didn't
Where's
we didn't we didn't we didn't get pulled over. We got flagged down. Them police was on foot.
We got flagged down.
And
You're right.
the driver pulled over for the police.
Oh yeah, we got flagged down by foot. Yeah. How about Nayarit? No, where's Mexico State?
Surrounding Mexico City.
Okay, because I'm like I never paid attention to that. Nayarit, Nueva León, Oaxaca, Puebla, Querétaro, Quintana Roo, San Luis Potosí, Tabasco. This one's a hard one. Tlaxcala,
Spell it. Tecala.
Tlaxcala.
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 Tlaxcala, yep.
Ooh, that's hard.
That's in between Puebla and Oaxaca. These are all the places that you just named, are all the places that I feel the most comfortable in beside Michoacan.
Wow. And Veracruz.
most comfortable. I lived in Costa Rica, Tuxpan. I lived in Papantla and Veracruz for a little bit. Yanga is in Veracruz.
I felt super safe in Puebla, super safe in Querétaro. I feel amazingly safe in Cancun when people say it's horrible. Um, Veracruz, I wasn't tripping. I didn't feel any type of way in Veracruz.
Nah, everybody looked like us. That's when you ran into that little girl that looked just like you.
I thought that wasn't Veracruz. That was Veracruz.
Veracruz.
I'm gonna
We was
post
at
that
the
picture.
we
Yeah,
stopped
she
at
had
the
the
bus
same.
station. She
Yeah.
had the same hair. She was walking with her mom and her sister, and she stopped when she seen you and just looked at you and then couldn't move.
Can we talk about that real quick? I want to talk about being a Black person from America, moving to another country, and I'm talking about Mexico because that's where I'm at, and to see the joy and the what's the word I'm looking for? Like, there's so many people that have stopped me just be, just because they want to touch my hair, or they were just excited to be in my presence as a Black woman. Like, I've never, they were curious. You know what I mean? Because 9 times out of
They
10,
weren't afraid either.
no, 9 times out of 10, most people have seen a Black man because of sports. Sports have allowed people to travel all over the world, and more so men's sports than women's sports, right? So a lot of these places that I went to with you that were really small pueblos never set eyes, like physically seen in person, a Black woman
Until Yanga.
until they saw me. And I posted videos of that interaction and how, they're touching my hair, they're touching my skin, and people were appalled at the fact that I allowed that. But you just had to be there to understand that it wasn't anything derogatory. It wasn't anything that belittled me. It was kind of like them touching the Pope. I swear to God. I'm not even trying to be funny. I am not even trying to be. They're giggling and laughing with each other. They're excited. It was if if you ever get a chance to experience that, your viewpoint on being a Black person, or your viewpoint on how they treat you, just coming from America, you're really gonna get to see how it is to be an American, and a Black American at that.
I wouldn't want to be nothing else.
It's powerful. We have a lot of the reasons the propaganda is put into the media is because they know when you step foot out of the United States of America, you as a Black person, no matter how light or dark you are, you're going to be seen as something powerful, and you're gonna feel that energy in most of the country, in most of the different countries. Not every last one of them, but most of them. And I've heard a lot of people who travel say that.
When you go outside of the country that you're from, if you're an American, you will no longer feel like state property.
Right. It says in the States, we make our own versions of tacos and tequila, kind of stealing their cultural items. Can I answer that first? So, um, a lot of the United States is heavily influenced by Mexican culture, depending on where you're from, especially. So, as far as stealing, I wouldn't say stealing. It's more so influenced, in the United States, especially in the West Coast. What do you think, Yanga?
I mean, again, like you said, we can't. It's not stealing because there's nothing new under the sun. You feel me? You just replicating or you know, doing what you feel is necessary in your life. It may be an Italian dish one day. Everybody eat tacos. People eat more tacos than they do hamburgers. And you don't like you can't say that something belongs to a culture. It might come from a culture, but it comes from the culture and it belongs to the people. Like nothing belongs to your life. Don't even belong to you. But I feel like, for an example, my son, I took him to, we're influenced by Mexico. America is influenced heavily by Mexico. And if you knew your history, you would understand that half of America used to be Mexico. They just needed some money, so they sold. Sometimes they were finessed out of a situation and it was stolen. But for the most part, I'm in Mexico right now.
And this is gonna shock y'all too. They say America steals everything. America influences the entire world. Everything you see in Mexico.
When you say America, it kind of like, I don't know why, it's like a thorn in my side. I feel like black culture is American culture.
Yes.
So I'm gonna take you back real quick. So 2007, Mexicans was listening to Tupac, they was listening to Biggie Smalls, and they was listening to Eminem, maybe. That's 2007. 2013, which is what, 6 years, not even 6 years. When I first started Yanga Sport, by that time I had already did a few seasons in Mexico, and I'm watching a gym full of locals listen to our music over the loudspeaker as we warming up, after the game, before the game. They listening to music they never heard before. So a lot of the fans would come down and be like, yo, that who's they know we hook our phone up, our phone. Somebody is some black American who wanted to listen to his music, you hook it up to the loudspeaker. And a number of fans would come and be like, that music, where is it from? And now mind you, I've been to every city in every major in every state, and maybe a couple towns, 2 or 3 towns as well. And we do this every game. So after 5 or 6 years of doing this, now you're listening to Wayne, you're listening to Wiz Khalifa. They listening and doing the dances of people that they never ever seen or heard from before. But now they know that those people exist because of black culture, black athletes. And when we go to the dances after the game, they play our music. And now they don't even play Tupac and Biggie no more at all. The OGs do, but all the new generations, they play Lil Wayne, Lil Uzi Vert, and they know all the they know more dances than I do in Mexico. I came and visited my youngest son one day, and he doing dances. I never taught him that.
TikTok, definitely
TikTok, social media. It just started fast forwarding everything. The black culture influence. I'm talking about now. We in 2023, and I'm watching Mexicans that I taught when they were 12. They don't look as Mexican no more. They dress like us. They dance and walk and talk like us. They try to all that like us.
Todo el mundo. Todo el mundo.
So I mean, you can't hide that. You can't. That's it. May go where people they don't speak about it, but you can't hide that. We influence everything. We influence everything. Sports that people play. People don't even think it's bad until that documentary, The Last Shot. All my partners is like, they play basketball in Mexico. They love basketball in Mexico.
Right. That's not something that's talked about. That's something that they don't teach as culture in the United States of America. So we don't understand what it. So we.
No, they rather teach you about gender roles and
yes,
weird shit like that.
A lot of people don't understand what it is what culture really is and how influential our culture is in the United States. They, as Black people, they don't teach us that. They're not going to tell you your. They're not going to tell you your power. They're not going to talk to you and tell you how influential you are. Instead, they're going to try to scare you into not going to these places to see how much you've impacted these places.
Oh,
And
for sure.
because of your impact, how many opportunities are presented there for you because of your impact.
Right.
This is why the propaganda is put out there. Because there's
They're
people like
afraid.
us.
They lose money. They lose money. They lose money. You spending your money in another country, they losing money. You say if you were born in America, you state property. And if you take your money to another country, yes, they're gonna put propaganda on TV so you don't go because they know you scary. Boom. I'm gonna pause real quick. Hey, like, subscribe this channel, share Yanga Sport Clothing on IG, yangasportculture.com, King Yanga 7, Off the Resort, Yanga Sport Culture. You know what I mean? Those are the sponsors. We in the building. You know, follow us. Continue to follow us. It's only gonna get better. Did you get back to the question that she asked? The statement that I forgot her name she made, and then we didn't. I kind of didn't understand. I wanted to address that.
Talking about Tony, which one?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Sorry. James said I thought Puerto Vallarta was a beautiful place. Is that a good location?
Very good location. It's a dope spot. I would fly in there and fly out of there because everything around there is uncharted territory. But once you get to Puerto Vallarta, it's a very calm situation. It's not quite turned up like Cancun, but it's just as beautiful. The water might be a little, rocky on the
It's not as
edges, but
pretty. Yeah.
it's not as pretty as Cancun. But you can still swim there. You can still enjoy, the weather. It's a beautiful place.
Really tranquilo, super chill. There's a lot of Americans there in Puerto Vallarta. I know a few people there. So if you're planning on going there, let me know. We there's a lot of stuff we still need to talk about.
We can't do it right now because we've been on here for what's that, an hour? We gotta put it together.
There's countries that are paying people to move to their countries. So using these scare tactics has to be a marketing scheme. You know what I mean? Like
not for America. Not for America. That's not marketing. They just try not to lose no money. The marketing comes in when people paying people to move. That's marketing. Because they realize that and media is getting people not to move.
But they don't do it with the places that they tell people to move that you'll get paid to. If you look on that list, it's never in South America. You notice that? It's always in places where people are less melanated.
Why you think that is?
I guess they're not procreating.
It ain't even that. It's not even that. They can procreate all they want to. They don't got the juice.
I think those places are dying off.
They might be. Let them be. Let them be. Let them be. Let them be. You know what I mean? Because we got the juice wherever we at.
Yeah, we gotta come back for part 2. So
Yanga Sport Culture. Oh, you want to talk about more scare tactics? I'm gonna be real. All of these cities are no worse than Chicago, Memphis, Stockton, California, Los Angeles, New York, Queens. Every single place that she's named, no worse than our major cities in the United States. You don't see police shooting down melanated people in Mexico. So where would you rather be as a melanated person? If you had a choice.
Even though anti-blackness is huge in these countries.
For sure, because look, check this out. We everywhere, but we're not the majority still. You know what I'm saying? We not the majority still. They love the love to hate. You know, hate to love. Some people hate you because they love you so much and they can't do nothing about it. You know, that's just real. Like,
right. If you're trying to
some people,
escape the USA, if you're
you know,
trying to
it's
escape the
easy.
USA,
It's easy. It's easy.
there's no such thing as escaping, because
That
you're gonna bring, if you're not healing within, you're gonna bring those same issues to you.
it's gonna catch you. You're not
You're
bring.
gonna
It's gonna
choose that
catch
same
you.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, for
you
sure.
have to be on a pursuit of peace, not a pursuit of escapism. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
because you're gonna run into some problems. If you don't know how to pull your own weight in the United States, you're gonna run into some problems.
You think so?
Yes. If you don't
You
know how
know.
to pull your weight, it's gonna be some issues. You gonna create issues.
All right, love. We went in on this one. If there's any
I th- I
topics you
th-
want
I
to
think
talk
I
about,
think I think we could have elaborated more on each and every city. So there should be a part two because it's a lot about each and every city that we haven't, spoken. Like we did begin to speak on the food in Oaxaca and Puebla, which is two of my favorite places to be. Um, Even though I lived in a lot of cartel states, the majority of my time, that's where the money was at for me, playing the sport of basketball. But whenever I got my money right, I definitely would escape and not like in the search of peace because I knew when I got there that's where my peace was gonna be. But I was I was headed toward my peace. Like I had enough money to relax myself, so I'd rather do it in immersed in nature. You know what I'm saying? Where it was fruitful and everything it was in abundance, and that's where like places like Puebla where it's very green at. That's where I would like to spend my peaceful time.
right? Tony said, if you're running from something, whatever you're running from is still right behind you.
Nah, you might run into it. You might run right into it. Boom, like damn, trying to run away from it.
All right, we did that.
Y'all can support
Episode
culture
2,
again. Like,
direct.
subscribe, and share. She making me do this because it's been years and I still really ain't
You're
enthused about doing this. But because we doing this, you better like, you better subscribe, and we gotta go up. Because as
you're
long
doing
as
an
I'm
amazing
doing
job. Very amazing. I'm like learning so much. Next week, 2 p.m.
in Espanol.
en español. Yeah.
I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
All right. Nos vemos
A rato.
a rato or próxima semana. Semana próxima, or which one? La semana.
La semana que entra.
Or
Hoy.
próxima. Próxima.
Próxima. Hoy en 8. Nos vemos.
Chao. Nos vemos. Hasta luego.